Forget famous singers and movie stars. In ancient China, the real VIPs were the scholars. These were the super smart people who aced their tests on ancient books and were amazing artists. They might not have had screaming fans or hit songs, but they were super important. Imagine a world where being smart made you popular, more than having lots of likes online. That was ancient China, where scholars were the biggest influencers. They advised emperors, made important decisions, and kept culture alive. They were the original great thinkers, and people really listened to them. So, how did someone become a scholar in ancient China? It wasn't about being rich or winning a contest. It was about studying really, really hard. We're talking years, maybe even decades spent learning ancient texts. It was like the hardest test ever, with extra art classes on the side. Confucianism wasn't just a way of thinking in ancient China, it was a way of life. It permeated every aspect of society, from the way people interacted with each other to the way they governed their states. And for future scholars, it was what they had to learn. These young minds were groomed to become the intellectual backbone of the nation. We're talking about diving deep into the 5 classics, or Wu Jing, and the 4 books, or Sishu, the ultimate ancient Chinese study guide. These texts were the cornerstone of their education, containing the wisdom of centuries. Imagine spending your childhood not watching TV or playing video games but studying ancient books about poems and songs. These weren't easy books. They were dense, filled with complex ideas and philosophies. They were long, complicated, and covered everything from history and poetry to music and rituals. Each page was a treasure trove of knowledge, waiting to be unlocked by diligent study. It was like getting a super advanced degree in, well, everything. The breadth of subjects was astounding, and mastering them required years of dedication. Memorizing these books was just the beginning. The real challenge lay in understanding the deeper meanings and applying them to real-life situations. The real challenge was understanding the ideas, debating them, and using them in everyday life. Scholars would engage in intense discussions dissecting every nuance of the text. It wasn't all boring memorization and serious debates, though. There was a vibrant social aspect to their studies. There were calligraphy contests, poetry competitions, and even some parties. These events allowed scholars to showcase their talents and unwind. Confucius did say to have fun sometimes. These gatherings were a testament to the balance between hard work and leisure. It was like a never-ending school camp, but with more ink spills and fewer energy drinks. The camaraderie and shared experiences created bonds that lasted a lifetime. Think talent shows today are tough? Try the ancient Chinese civil service exam. It was a super hard series of tests that made other competitions look easy. Thousands of hopeful scholars would cram into tiny rooms with only their brushes, ink, and everything they'd memorized. This wasn't just a test of what they knew, it was a test of how tough they were. Imagine spending days in a tiny room with only stale air and the sound of writing to keep you company. The pressure was huge, everything was on the line, and lots of people quit. Those who made it through and passed the exams didn't just get government jobs, they became super important. They made new rules, became judges, and worked with other countries. They were the important people of ancient China. Don't think ancient Chinese scholars were rich. They lived simple lives with plain clothes and lots of books, not fancy cars and big parties. They were like the original minimalists, happy with knowledge instead of stuff. But don't think their simple lives meant they weren't important. Scholars were like rock stars, getting respect and admiration everywhere. They were the thought leaders, the trendsetters, the people everyone went to for advice. They might not have had private planes, but their opinions could change the emperor's mind and the future of the empire. It was a trade-off many scholars were happy to make, a simple life, but a big impact. They knew real value wasn't about money, but about knowledge, wisdom, and making a difference. Forget lobbyists and special interest groups. In ancient China, scholars were the ones who talked to the emperor. He wanted their advice on everything from war and peace to farming and education. They were the original policy experts, using their knowledge of history, philosophy, and people to help run the empire. Imagine listening in on one of these meetings. The emperor, surrounded by his court, would describe a problem, and the scholars would give their opinions using their smarts and knowledge. It was like a super important class with the fate of millions of people at stake. Of course, dealing with court politics was tricky. One wrong word, one bad suggestion, could mean getting kicked out or worse. It was a dangerous game of power and intelligence. and only the smartest and most clever scholars could survive, let alone do well. Ancient Chinese scholars weren't just walking dictionaries, they were supposed to be good at art too. They were like the original Renaissance people, men and women, though it was harder for women to become scholars. Calligraphy, poetry, painting, music, these were all important skills for a well-rounded scholar. Imagine going to a scholar party where, between debates about philosophy and reciting poems, people would show off their latest artwork or play music on the guqin, a seven-stringed instrument. These weren't just hobbies, they showed a smart and cultured mind. This focus on art wasn't just about beauty, it was about learning and understanding in a complete way. People believed that by doing these things, scholars could make their minds sharper, become more sensitive, and understand how everything is connected. In a society where reading and writing were rare, scholars had a lot of power because they could read and write. They kept knowledge safe, explained the laws, and wrote down history. Their words could inspire, make people angry, or criticize, shaping what people thought and what happened. Imagine the power of writing a convincing argument, a beautiful poem, or telling history from your perspective. Scholars were the influencers of their time, their words shaping thoughts, starting debates, and impacting Chinese culture forever. But this power came with a big responsibility. Scholars were supposed to use their skills to make society better, be fair, and tell the truth to powerful people. Their words could make or break careers, start revolutions, or bring peace and prosperity. It was a responsibility they took seriously, because they knew that words, in the right hands, could be stronger than any weapon. Ancient China had its share of famous scholars, men and women whose names are still remembered for their brilliance, wit, and contributions to Chinese thought and culture. These scholars were not just intellectuals, they were the guiding lights of their time, shaping the very fabric of society with their ideas and teachings. These were the superstars of the intellectual world, revered and respected by all. Their influence extended beyond the borders of China, impacting neighboring civilizations and leaving a legacy that would endure for millennia. Their writings inspired generations of scholars, and their actions became legendary. The manuscripts and scrolls they left behind are still studied today, offering a window into the minds of these extraordinary individuals. There was Confucius, the original philosopher whose teachings on ethics, family, and good government shaped Chinese society for centuries. His ideas on morality and proper conduct became the cornerstone of Chinese culture, influencing not just governance but everyday life. Then there was Li Bai, the unusual poet who loved wine, nature, and writing poems while floating down a river in a boat. His works captured the beauty of the natural world and the complexities of human emotion, making him a beloved figure in Chinese literature. And don't forget Empress Wu Zetian, the only woman to rule China by herself, whose intelligence, ambition, and support of the arts made her a powerful leader. Her reign was marked by significant cultural and intellectual advancements, and she remains a symbol of female empowerment in Chinese history. These are just a few of the many amazing people who represented the ideals of scholarship in ancient China. Their lives and works continue to inspire and educate, reminding us of the timeless value of knowledge and wisdom. Their stories show the power of knowledge, the importance of critical thinking, and the lasting impact of a culture that valued education and intellectual pursuits. In a world that often seems to prioritize the material over the intellectual, these ancient scholars remind us of the enduring power of ideas and the profound influence of a well-cultivated mind. The civil service exam system, even though it was strict and prestigious, didn't last forever. It was a cornerstone of Chinese society, shaping the lives of countless scholars and officials for centuries. The exams were known for their rigorous standards and the immense pressure they placed on candidates. By the late Qing dynasty, it had become corrupt, unfair, and focused too much on memorization instead of practical skills. The system that once aimed to select the best and brightest had turned into a rote exercise, stifling creativity and innovation. The once respected system, designed to find the smartest people, had become a problem, stopping innovation and failing to meet the needs of a changing world. The examination halls, once bustling with activity, became symbols of a bygone era. In 1905, something unbelievable happened. The imperial examination system, a key part of Chinese society for over 1,000 years, was ended. This decision was not made lightly. It was a response to the urgent need for modernization and reform. It was a huge event, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a time of big change and uncertainty. The streets buzzed with discussions and debates about what the future would hold without the exams. The legacy of the scholar officials, however, lived on. Their influence was deeply embedded in the cultural and intellectual fabric of China. They had set a high standard for education and public service. Their focus on education, their dedication to public service, and their belief in the power of ideas continued to shape Chinese society in the 20th century and beyond. The values they championed remained relevant, influencing modern educational practices and governance. The problems they faced, the tough decisions they made, and the things they achieved offer valuable lessons for anyone trying to understand Chinese history and the lasting power of knowledge and ideas. Their story is a testament to the enduring impact of education and the pursuit of wisdom.